Okay, class, so now that we've learned about blood, we're going to start talking about the circulatory system, which is the system of the human body that transports and moves all of this blood. Okay, so why don't you take a minute and read the reading section on your own. So pause the video. Now that you've read that, let's read it together. When we absorb nutrients from the food we eat, we discussed this last unit, and water from what we drink, we need a way to transport these materials to every cell in the body. We also need a way to move the oxygen we breathe in our lungs to all the cells in our body. Further, when our cells produce waste products, we need a way to move these wastes out of the body. Remember we get rid of them in the kidneys, so how can we move those wastes all the way to the kidneys? The circulatory system is the system in the human body that moves all of these materials around in our body. The circulatory system involves the heart, arteries, veins, lungs, and the blood. The heart is a strong muscle that helps pump the blood. Arteries are strong blood vessels that are like tubes that take blood away from the heart and to the rest of the body. Now I want you to underline this right now. Arteries go away. Arteries away. Arteries branch out into capillaries. Capillaries are very thin blood vessels that allow nutrients, gases, and waste to move in and out of cells in the blood. Capillaries then branch back into veins. Veins take blood back to the heart from the body. So I mean, you think veins always go back to the heart. So arteries always go away and veins always go back. Okay, now we're going to look at this diagram over here and we're just going to talk about it. So I really want you to focus on listening right now. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the heart right here. So here's the heart. Now, we'll learn more about the heart next class, but I'm going to say that the heart pumps blood out of itself, so blood is actually inside the heart. It pumps blood out to the aorta. The aorta then takes blood to the upper body. I know this is down below the heart, but it's supposed to represent like the head and the arms. So the aorta takes blood to all the parts of the body, the upper body, the liver. It says the hepatic here for that. It takes blood to the stomach and intestines. It then takes blood to the renal artery, to the kidneys, and then down to the lower body. So the aorta branches off into these arteries that take blood to all these parts of our body. All the transport of the nutrients and waste happens in these thin vessels right here called capillaries. Now after the exchange of nutrients and gases and waste have taken place, blood is going to then travel back to the heart through things called veins. So we have the renal vein, which goes back from the kidney. We have the hepatic one, which is coming back from the liver. We have veins going back from the stomach and the intestines. And then all these veins go up to this really big vein called the vena cava, or the vena cava. Now there's one that's going to come back from your upper body, and there's one that's going to come back from your lower body. These take blood back to the heart. Okay, now that blood is back to the heart needs a way to pump this blood, which doesn't have oxygen anymore in it, to a place in the body where it can get oxygen. And that place is the lungs. So the heart then pumps blood through the pulmonary artery away from the heart and to the lungs. In the lungs, this is where all of the gas exchange is going to occur. So, we hear about a lot of problems with this virus going on right now, and that's because all these little viral invaders and pathogens are damaging our lungs. So they make it really hard to breathe because we're not able to diffuse enough oxygen into our bloodstream. So in the lungs, the pulmonary capillaries are picking up oxygen that we're breathing in, and they're releasing carbon dioxide, a waste product from all these cells. Okay, now we say that the blood is now oxygenated, or we say the blood has oxygen. And from the lungs, blood is now going to go back to the heart through the pulmonary veins. Remember, when we go to the heart or back to the heart, it's through veins. And we're back to the heart, and now we've completed our little journey through the human body. Okay, down below, to help us think about arteries, veins, and capillaries a little bit better, I got a better diagram right here. So let's read this. Blood vessels are tubes that blood can travel through. The three main types of blood vessels are arteries, capillaries, and veins. Inspect the diagram below. Now usually when people draw something as red in the circulatory system, it means it has oxygen. So these arteries are usually going to have oxygen in them. Now the capillaries, notice how they're a lot smaller here than this big artery, and they branch off into lots of these and then come back into a vein. And veins only have a little bit of oxygen. There's still some in there, so I'm going to draw a really little one. And usually these blood vessels are drawn as blue when they're lacking oxygen. Okay, now I would like you to try and discuss these three questions with someone. Okay, finally, I'd like you to now write a paragraph that describes the pathway of blood in the human body. I'd like you to use the words next, then, and finally. Just pretend like you were a red blood cell and you're taking a travel through the human body and try and write about that journey I described above.